Authors Class.
Hi, my name's Jeanette Morrow.
My name is George Morrow.
We're husband and wife and co-wrote books together. Yes.
Yeah. We've been married 51 years. And the girl that also helped us write this book, we've known for 56 years. I've known her since she was 15 years old. She used to be my girlfriend, Renee Clark.
Raise the book up.
Oh, yeah. Renee Clark. We've been friends for 50-some years. And yeah, I went to school with her, and she became, I called her when we decided to write, when we decided to write these books and asked her if she would write it with us. She said, well, do you think I can? And I said, if I didn't think you could, I wouldn't be calling you. And, you know, she had written some other children's stories, and I was familiar with her work, so I thought that she'd do well, and she did. Without her, there would be no books. Right, Legacy is the first. This one here is a sequel to Legacy.
Yes.
And Legacy is the story of 4 girls, semi-losers, who who inherit some land in Canada, and they become better. They
become winners.
Yeah. And they do well, and they get better. And this is the sequel of that, which have the same people in it, but this book also stands alone. You don't need to read that one to get the point of this one. Okay? This is an excellent book, and so is that one. Both of them are. Well, I used to tell stories to my sons whenever they were young. They would ask me, Papa, can you tell us a story? And so I would make these stories up, and then pretty soon I decided, you know, those are pretty good stories. I think I should write them down, and so I did. And I didn't write them myself. I would dictate them to Jean as we drove down the highway, either on a little mini vacation or something like that, and then we would get them written, and then after that we would edit them, and eventually we published them. We got them published.
So yeah, basically we joined forces in writing. You know, even with the children's books, we were joined forces on that. And then when we decided to do adult novels, then we needed somebody else to help us out there. That's where Renee came in. But it's been a fun ride.
I have a vivid imagination. I can imagine almost any story in the world, and it almost becomes real to me. And so I don't like to just do something and then quit and think about it. I like to push it to the furthest extent we can push it to. And that, you know, and that's why we're here, is because we're continuing this journey with these books so that we can push them to the furthest part of it. I mean, I'd love to get these made into a movie. I really would. I mean, that's how good these books are. They'd be a great Hallmark movie, you know. So if they ever get out there to somebody that's listening, hopefully they'll do that. You know, they'll consider them anyway, something like that. And that's why we decided to publish what we were publishing, and to do what we're doing is because we don't just do things because we do them to get them to the furthest point they can. I built a brew room at my farm so I could brew beer and make wine, and it's sanitary and everything like that. So we pushed it as far as we could, even our own labels, and that's the same thing with these books.
Yeah, he kind of dragged me along some part of the way, but yeah, I got into it. We had fun writing together, so it was quite a journey. Well, Legacy is about 4 women from Reno, Nevada that are semi-losers, and they inherit some land in Canada, and it's their journey to this place, not only the trip there, but after they get there and how their lives change to the better, and it's a very encouraging read. And then I'll let you tell about.
And then the Winds of Whitestone. The Winds of Whitestone. It picks up from a couple of years after the Legacy, and it's continuing the story of these girls and how they continue to deal with the problems they can have or could have, but as it goes along, it does better. You know, they do real well with it. And we introduced two new characters in this book than was in this book here, and they're good characters, very good characters. Yeah. So anyway, that's basically it. This is a story of how one guy's trying to wreck the lives of the girls and their husbands, basically. So, but
don't want to tell them too much.
People should read it because it's a good read. And if you don't read much to start with, then this is the book you want to read because it's a simple read. It's not hard to understand. You know, it's an easy thing to take and spend some time with. And a lot of people who pick it up who are not readers don't put it down until they're completely finished with it. That's how good these books are. Stick with them. That's amazing.
And that's what I had examples of my brother who never read books, and he read the book and he fell in love with it, and now he reads all sorts of books because he really fell in love with reading because of reading our books. And we had a cousin the same way. You know, he's a reader. So we encourage people to pick up the books and don't stop.
Yeah.
I mean, this book here, Legacy, sometimes people got a little confused at the beginning because there was quite a few characters introduced, but I encourage people to keep with it because it's not too long. You get to really know the characters and you fall in love with them.
I do believe that it make a difference in the readers' lives, especially if they're troubled younger women or even younger men. That there is hope out there that you can do better. You know, it's the whole concept of what we write is that if this is not what if you don't feel good about what you're doing now, then change. That's a simple message, and only you can do that. The only thing that can change somebody is themselves. I can't change them, you can't change them, neither can my wife, but they can change themselves, and a book like this helps them to appreciate how they can change and how they can do better than what they're doing now if they have problems and things. That's why I would.
Yes, and I will agree with that.
Yeah, the most challenging is the editing. After we get the book written, then you have to spend several days editing.
More than just several days. It's, you know, I've had to go over the books multiple times, reread it multiple times, and catch any errors and so on. So
yeah, go ahead.
Hopefully, if you read this book, you won't find any errors.
And then, you know, and Renee had. Both Jean and Renee edited it for many times. They've gone over it. And one thing I found about this, and Renee did too, and Jean also, was we would get caught up in the story and we would not be able to edit because of the story. You know, because we would just be skipping over and then we'd have to go back again. If we would have kept our mind on the editing, because we get involved in the story again. And that's what happens with that's why it took so long for us to edit that book. You know, the thing is that for three people to write a book, it could be difficult. But the one thing that all three of us kept in mind this whole time that we were writing was that we have an obligation to the book. And if it's not good for the book, then it's not good for us. And that's what we had to analyze about this whole thing. When Renee would call me and go, George, I know you aren't going to like this, but what do you think, we can do about this? Well, those are the changes that have to be made for the book. Whether I thought it was a great thing or not, but it was a good change for the book. And it made it flow better. And that's the one thing that we needed to do more than anything else, was keep that in mind. And we did. We wrote these two books, and I can honestly say we never had a heated argument at any given time. All three of us agreed that this was our obligation. And if one of us three were not happy with it, then we need to make that happen.
Yeah.
My advice to the readers are keep reading. You know, it may bog down a little bit, but it'll pick back up. Don't give up on it. That's my advice to anybody who reads books. Don't just give up after the first couple of chapters. Read the thing. There's a reason why it's in print. See if you can't get into it. Spend the time. If you have time enough to invest reading it for two chapters, then finish it.
It's pretty much what he said, to keep reading it, and like I said, the first couple chapters might be a little bogged down or confusing for people, but keep reading it, and you'll fall in love with the characters just like we did. When we were writing this book, these characters came alive to us. We almost felt like we were thinking, well, what is Lyric doing, or what is Kennedy doing, or what is, and you got to step back and wait a minute, these are fictional characters, they're not real. But you just get so wrapped up in the story and the writing of it that they became almost alive to us.
And I think that you'll be sad when the story's over, because you'll want more of those people. I would like to.
Renee said no, and I'm kind of with her at this point.
So I think more than anything, it would depend on whether or not these got into the mainstream and they were actually put out there, and a lot of people read them and they liked them a lot. Because but we're busy people, and this isn't our profession. This was a story that we wrote because we thought it needed to be told.
And it was fun doing it, but it's not our whole goal in life to be authors. We enjoyed doing that, but hopefully people will read what we have done.
I invite you to read this story. You won't regret it. And if you read it, pass it on. Give it to other people too, and put in a review at Amazon about it.
And you can also find our books on our webpage at qpress.com. That's QPRESS.com. And you can go right from there, and it'll link you to where you can buy them through Amazon or Barnes & Noble. So we invite you to please check that out. We have some children's books on there also that you might be interested in.